from Southern Maryland's weather leader. This is a JB Weather Alert.
Hello and good evening, Southern Maryland. I am Forecaster John Bordash with you in the JB Weather Center this evening, tracking the severe weather that is moving through. And we do have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect for parts of Southern Maryland. And this is a rather rare type of severe thunderstorm warning to see. And it might be a little bit difficult on your screen to see, but we have a severe thunderstorm warning here that is outlined with a little bit of a black hue. If I were to try to paint on top of it where this is, it's this polygon I am outlining here in this flashing black color. This is going to be for western parts of Charles County, central parts of Calvert County, northern parts of St. Mary's County. And this is going to be a severe thunderstorm warning that is going to go until 9 o'clock for these locations. The reason this severe thunderstorm warning has been deemed what we would call destructive is because of the wind threat it poses. Let me get you the exact warning text we get from the National Weather Service. At 8:35 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located over Golden Beach or near Howling Point and moving southeast at just about 35 miles per hour. The National Weather Service says this is a destructive storm for parts of Southern Maryland because of this double-sided threat of winds potentially upwards of 80 miles per hour within this storm, as well as the threat of ping-pong ball-size hail that is hail up to 1.5 inches in diameter. The National Weather Service says to expect considerable damage to trees and power lines. Your life is at significant risk if you are outdoors as the storm moves through. In addition, some trees falling into homes, wind damage is possible to roofs, sheds, open garages, and mobile homes. Locations impacted include but are not limited to Leonardtown, Prince Frederick, Sheridan Point, Howling Point, Flag Harbor, Golden Beach, St. Leonard, Huntingtown, Hughesville, Long Beach, Mechanicsville, Charlotte Hall, Aquasco, Calvert Beach, Bryantown, Benedict, Eagle Harbor, Port Republic, Sandgate, and Loveville. The National Weather Service continues to stress that this is an extremely dangerous situation for those in central Calvert County, northern St. Mary's County, and western parts of Charles County. This situation with this storm could feature winds that have tornado-like wind speeds. Mobile homes and high-profile vehicles are likely to be susceptible to winds of this magnitude and may be overturned. For your protection, you want to move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a building. This storm has the potential to cause serious injury and significant property damage. This is a potentially deadly storm here that is currently moving through the Hughesville area, getting into the Golden Beach area. Seek shelter in an interior room on the lowest floor of a well-built structure. Abandon vehicles in search of a more substantial permanent structure and stay away from windows. Large hail, damaging wind, and continuous clouds or ground lightning are occurring with this storm, so you want to be moving indoors immediately. Lightning is one of nature's leading killers. Remember, if you hear thunder, you are close enough to be struck by lightning. And again, we are really talking about this storm here. If we were to repaint that black polygon on here, this is the area that is at most risk right now of severe weather. This is where that severe thunderstorm warning with that destructive thunderstorm damage threat tag has been keyed on, and that's because we have potential wind speeds between 70 to 80 miles per hour, if not maybe a little bit higher than that, with the potential for hail upwards of 1.5 inches in diameter. So this is turning into a rather dangerous situation. For those of us that are going to be in the potential of that. There we go. We have no active tornado warnings, but we do have this severe thunderstorm warning. So for those of us that are at locations like Hughesville, Prince Frederick, St. Leonard, Golden Beach, Charlotte Hall, Mechanicsville, Dennisville, Morganza, Loveville, Hollywood, Brooms Island, Long Beach, Mutual, Port Republic, Aquasco, southern parts of Huntingtown, Barstow, Dares Beach, Benedict, parts of Bryanstown. These are going to, Eagle Harbor, these are going to be the precautions you want to be taking if you're in those locations. Again, we're moving indoors, right? Being outside during such a destructive, severe thunderstorm with winds of potentially upwards of 80 miles per hour can quickly turn deadly as we have debris that can be lofted up into the air, which means that you want to move away from windows, right? We don't want to be looking at any of that debris going through a window, having glass shatter that could potentially impact you. And you want to shield yourself. If you were to have trees that were to fall down, or we were looking at power lines, or even hail that could be impacting the region with this storm, all of these are going to be things you want to take into consideration. So a great place to be is on that lowest level of your home. A basement would be great, but not required in this kind of a situation. We're not looking at an active tornado warning of sorts. It is just currently a severe thunderstorm warning with high wind and high hail potential. And again, this is right now to the north of the Lusby area. This is going to be north of Lexington Park. This is going to be for areas just north of Leonardtown, really north of that Route 5 corridor there, getting into Loveville, into the Sandgates area as well. Oakville, again, Hollywood, you're right there on that line. White Sands, you're right there on that line. Clements, this is a little bit to your north and east. Chaptico, a little bit to your north and east. Morganza, again, Mechanicsville, these are going to be the locations really there along northern parts of the Patuxent River over towards the bay. As we watch this storm move to the south and east here over the next little bit. Let's take you back on over to live William Richmond Inc. radar. You can see these are some of the locations I've been queuing up that could be looking at the potential for this storm to be moving on into the south and east. If I get you a little bit of a storm tracking here, let's go ahead and take the worst part of this storm here. Saying back towards Belle Alton, we know that we are moving southeast at about 33 miles per hour. And this gets you a general look at timing here with this storm. Prince Frederick right around 8:52. Some of the worst is moving in right now. Mechanicsville at about 8:54, so you have about 6 minutes or so. St. Leonard around 9:03, so just after that 9 o'clock hour. The same goes for Brooms Island and White Sands. The Chesapeake Ranch Estates, we're looking at potentially around 9:19 if this storm holds together, so a little bit past quarter after. And as we approach the bottom part of the 9 o'clock hour, we might be looking at locations closer towards Lexington Park and Park Hall to potentially be seeing the impacts of this storm. So that tells us kind of what we're dealing with as this storm continues to move to the south and east here. No new updates on the National Weather Service, but again, this continues to be a storm that we are watching. I don't currently see any indications of rotation with this storm, which of course is going to be welcome news. We'll see what we are able to garner up here with our wind potential with this storm, see what radar is able to estimate. I don't know if we're getting a good look here with this radar. I'm interested to see if we can get something a little bit different out of the Dover radar. That loads up. Let's see what we have. I'm seeing wind gusts getting up close to 70 miles per hour here with the Dover radar sweep. That's a little bit further away from our radar than we would like to see. Let's try to get back here into Sterling and see if we can't just take a look at base velocity, see what that's able to garner for us here. Let's get that a little all going together. Yeah, so up in the highest parts of this storm, we're seeing, winds upwards. Higher up in the atmosphere, over 60 miles per hour at the surface. That's likely speeding up a little bit, getting close to 80 miles per hour. I want to see what we're getting in terms of estimated hail size here. And you can see we are really looking at two hail cores here with this storm. One that has just crossed over 231, getting into Benedict, getting close to Golden Beach here. We're looking at hail potential between 1 to 2 inches moving through Benedict and Golden Beach. I think I saw a comment a little bit ago saying that hail was reported in Hughesville. And then back here towards the Densville area, potentially getting close to 1.5 inches, if not 2-inch size hail with this storm. As it continues here to move to the south and east. It's really those brighter colors there that are going to demonstrate for us where we have some of the biggest hail. If I take you on over to a little bit of a different version of radar, let's move this on over. We can see right here where we start to get some of these different colors. That represents the hail history here over the last hour. So really this orange color here, let's turn the warnings off momentarily. This orange color here would represent winds upwards or hail potential over an inch in diameter. So that's going to be something to keep in mind as this continues to move through. We saw some nasty hail through Waldorf, La Plata, now getting close to Charlotte Hall, Hughesville, Golden Beach, and Mechanicsville. And we can just assume that if we continue to track this here to the south and east, that will continue to bring that threat. And yeah, the latest update with William Richmond Ink Radar shows that that secondary hail core that moved through Dennisville continues to be the primary hail concern for our region as it moves here to the south and east. So if we reset here just a little bit, we can see that we have this storm complex, lots of lightning with it. We put this here in a half-hour loop. You can see the general movement of this storm moving to the south and east. And even if we were to increase this to about the last hour or so, you can see how these storms have really moved as they cross from northern Virginia through the Potomac River, now getting here into southern Maryland, beginning to really show that increased reflectivity that would be indicative to me of a little bit more hail starting to get into the Charlotte Hall area just north of Mechanicsville. And it really is that last severe thunderstorm warning here with that black polygon that demonstrates to me that we have that potential destructive thunderstorm threat. And again, that gets down here into Hollywood, goes right down into the Loveville area. This is the region I'm going to really be watching. So those of you in Mechanicsville, Morganza, Mutual, getting on over towards Long Beach, Port Republic, those of you even in Prince Frederick, these are going to be your severe storm safety guidelines for you. Moving indoors, getting away from windows, and you're going to want to shield yourself. Now, if we were to think writ large a little bit and we expand the picture out, right now, areas that are not under the severe thunderstorm warning would include Lesby or Solomons or Lexington Park, Valley Lee, not in the severe thunderstorm warning. St. George Island is not. Ridge is not. Park Hall is not. Colton's Point isn't. Oakley isn't. Maddox isn't. Bushwood isn't. And Pax River is not. So those are locations that are not currently under the severe thunderstorm warning. However, they are locations that will need to keep tabs on what is going on. Will this make its way all the way to the south, towards southern Calvert County, southern parts of St. Mary's County? That potential is certainly there. It really does depend on how well this thunderstorm is able to maintain itself as it ingests a lot of warm air. We are approaching sunset, so as we get into these nocturnal hours, thunderstorms have a harder time being able to maintain themselves. Which is just because there isn't as much heat or humidity with the air as things begin to cool down. So there isn't as much energy or stuff or juice for them to really, kind of suck on into the storm to help produce some of those higher precipitation rates, those gustier winds. But as things currently stand, we have a nasty storm that's getting ready to move here into Mechanicsville. Those taking a ride along 231 here from Hughesville, maybe heading on over towards Benedict or Prince Frederick there with that Benedict Bridge. That is likely to be a really tough go right now. And the latest radar update here continues to show that storm here moving to the south and east. As things stand, I'm not currently seeing rotation with this storm, which remains a good thing. But it's that area there shaded in orange that continues to be under the severe thunderstorm warning right now. Continuing to look at a destructive potential with this storm. It doesn't seem like we have any new updates with this warning. I'll be waiting to see if we get one of those in from the National Weather Service. As this storm continues to show, that potential of really producing those gusty winds. I want to see what we can get looking at one of our local radars here in southern Maryland. See what that is able to show us. We can see, nevertheless, over 400 strikes of lightning with this storm. That demonstrates to us just how much electricity is in the storm here. I want to see what this radar is able to give me. And yeah, I'm seeing where we see some of these brightest yellow colors in here. That demonstrates to me where we really have some of those highest wind gusts. And I think radar might be underdoing this a little bit for us. But yeah, that shows us right through here, coming right now into Morganza. Those winds up over 60 miles per hour, and that's going to be a really fast go of the wind. So that's going to come in and bring a punch. So any of those outdoor like patio furniture, outdoor materials, they definitely have that potential to go flying a little bit as we see this kind of really work into the area. That's a fast velocity worth of wind that can cause some issues here. Again, not really seeing any rotation with this storm, which is of course something we like to see. But when we start to see some of these pink, like these deep reds and some of these pinks here on the radar, that just shows where that hail likely is and where that's likely going to be causing some issues. I'm still looking at a little bit of a hail core that's just moved through Golden Beach. Now I'm going there right along that Patuxent River. And we're also seeing that secondary hail core that has moved through Dennisville, and this might be going right along the southern part of this warning right now. Going here right into the Chaptico area. Mechanics will have that guard up. Wicomico Shores, be ready to rock and roll. This is going to be, some pretty nasty hail, upwards of 1 inch to 1.5 inches in diameter. That is what William Richmond Inc. radar is currently suggesting to us. We're going to continue to watch and see what goes on here. For those of you just now joining, good evening. I'm Forecaster John Bordash with you in the JB Weather Center this evening, continuing to track what is a rather dangerous situation setting up across parts of southern Maryland. We have a very rare, destructive, severe thunderstorm warning that is currently in effect. I want to show you where this is in effect for right now, where it's not in effect, and then get you some of the latest information from the National Weather Service. What I'm outlining here in black, it's going to be flashing a little bit on your screen. That is going to be the current area of concern, that destructive severe thunderstorm warning that we are going to be having in effect until 9 o'clock. At 8:35 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located over Golden Beach or near Howling Point, moving southeast at 35 miles per hour. The National Weather Service says that this is a destructive storm for parts of southern Maryland for two reasons. First, we're looking at the potential of winds upwards of 80 miles per hour. And I want you to try to conceptualize that a little bit. 80-mile-an-hour winds. We rarely see winds that fast here in southern Maryland. That's equivalent to a Category 1 hurricane. That's equivalent to a low-end tornado. We don't have any rotation. We don't have a tornado on the ground with this. But those straight-line winds with this storm do demonstrate the potential of destruction. We are also looking at ping-pong ball-size hail. So those together show us that we have a destructive storm here in southern Maryland, pushing here to the south and east, and it really looks like it wants to go there right along the Patuxent River. Areas that this severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for, and areas that over the next, let's call it, few minutes here, need to be ready for, and actually we do now have a new severe thunderstorm warning coming in. Just as I go to say that, this is going to be a new severe thunderstorm warning. This is going to be for southern parts of Calvert County. This is going to be for much of St. Mary's County. Let's go ahead and get a new timeline here with this. As this storm pushes to the south and east at just about 37 miles per hour. And I want to make sure I'm getting the entire storm here. Let's go ahead and get the entire width of it. Move here to the south and east at 37. And this gives you that general look at storm timing. As we get this in, for those of you that aren't too keened in or are new followers to JB Weather, this is a one-man show. So as we get this together, I need to make sure we get this warning posted on over towards our social media accounts. So that will lead to me trying to multitask and talk at the same time as we do this, but there is no guarantee, and it might go a little quiet here. But we do know, in the very least, that we have been looking at really destructive winds with this thunderstorm as it's continued to push here to the south and east. It has a history of producing large hail. It has a history of producing those 80-mile-per-hour winds. And right now we are looking at winds up to 60 to 70 miles per hour being possible with the storm, along with 1 to 2 inch diameter hail take cover if you are in the path of this storm. All right, let's go ahead and get that posted, and then we will kind of reset here, get things together as we start to get a new slew of viewers here in to the live stream. For those of you just now joining, good evening. I'm Forecaster John Bordash with you in the JB Weather Center this evening. We are tracking a rather dangerous severe weather situation that is set up across the region. It's been hot and it has been humid, which has allowed for the atmosphere to become rather ripe for the potential of severe thunderstorms to begin to develop across the region. We have seen this take place. We saw some really strong storms push through Annapolis and Chesapeake Beach earlier today. We've been tracking this specific storm here coming into the Mechanicsville area. This really formed about an hour ago to the north and west of Waldorf and has brought some large hail and damaging wind reports from Waldorf down towards La Plata, Hughesville, Dennisville, getting on over towards Benedict, now getting into Mechanicsville. And we are now going to be tracking this severe thunderstorm as it tracks to the south and he's getting into southern parts of Calvert County and getting on down into parts of St. Mary's County. The National Weather Service says that at 8:58, a severe thunderstorm was located near Sheridan Point and moving to the southeast at 35 miles per hour. Winds between 60 to 70 miles per hour and 1-inch size hail are the primary concerns here. Damaging winds with this storm will cause some trees and large branches to fall, and this could injure those outdoors as well as damage to homes and vehicles. Roadways may become blocked by downed trees, localized power outages are possible, and unsecured light objects may become projectiles as the storm pushes through. Locations impacted include, but are not limited to, Lexington Park, the Chesapeake Ranch Estates, Leonardtown, Piney Point, Tall Timbers, St. Inigo's Creek, St. Mary's City, Greenwell State Park, St. Leonard Creek, Town Creek, St. Mary's River, White Point Beach, Cuckold Creek, St. George Island, Sheridan Point, Cabot Cliffs, Flag Harbor, California, Golden Beach, and Lusby. For your protection, you want to move into an interior room on the lowest floor of a building. Large hail and damaging wind along with continuous cloud to ground lightning are indeed occurring with this storm, so you want to move indoors immediately. Lightning is a #1 killer when we talk severe weather. So for those of us here in this severe thunderstorm warning polygon, these are going to be those severe storm safety tips that we want to go ahead and start taking note of. I do want to reiterate that as I continue to refresh my radar product here, investigate the storm as I'm also talking, I don't see any signs of rotation right now. And I can show that to you live, what it is. I'm looking at some of that science behind the scenes. This is going to be that triple view radar here. And this shows us 4 totally different things, but can all help put together a really nice story. Right underneath that radar banner from William Richmond Inc. Roofing and Siding, you see typical radar. We see that heavy rain moving into Mechanicsville. Just to the right of that, this is going to be a product I look a lot at. That's where you see a lot of those reds and some of those grays. That shows us wind, right? Radar can do a lot. Radar can show us where it's raining and how heavy it is, but it can also show us where we have winds. And where we have winds, how fast are those winds? What direction are those winds moving? Is it a north to south? Is it an east to west? Are we seeing circulation? Typically in a tornado situation, we would be looking at a bright green and a bright red couplet kind of holding together. That would indicate opposing winds but moving together. That would allow for that drop down of a tornado. Right now, I don't see much of that at all. I barely see any opposing wind with this. So this top panel up here where my mouse cursor currently is, which could be a little bit difficult to see if you're on mobile, especially in that upright position, I don't see much in the way of rotation with this storm. It really does look to be just a straight line wind damage kind of a threat, but we know that even straight line winds can cause damage that might mirror that of tornado damage, right? They can still push down trees and cause damage to homes and to vehicles. So we want to move indoors. Being outside during a storm that has winds of up to 60 to 70 miles per hour could indeed cause some damage to yourself. It could turn to a deadly situation, heaven forbid. So we just want to move indoors to a substantial shelter, one that has a good foundation that's not going to get picked up and blown out from a straight line wind situation. and you want to move away from windows. Just get away from the glass. I think that's a tried and true precaution that we want to take. We want to go ahead and make those safe decisions. If you have a strong wind that's going to break some glass, that could definitely get towards you. And you want to shield yourself. Let's say you have a tree that goes to fall, or we have that large hail, or we have power lines or power poles that go down and cause damage to your house. You want to maybe just think about shielding yourself, right? So maybe try to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible to protect you from that wind. And in situations like this, I have vivid memories. My mom would gather me and my sisters into the one room, right? We grew up in a ranch-style house. We didn't have a basement. We didn't have a second floor. I mean, didn't live a high-end lifestyle with all these fancy things. And that's an experience I think many of us in Southern Maryland can really that resonates with us, right? Just a one-story home, so we stayed on that story, but we got into the one room that did not have a wall that touched the exterior outside, and that was a bathroom. For some of you, that might be a hallway, that could be a closet. While this isn't a tornado situation, we just want to make sure we're just putting as many walls between you and the outside as possible. But we're going to continue to go ahead and monitor this situation with this storm. The good news with this storm is that since it first moved into parts of western Charles and central Calvert County, it does seem to have weakened just a little bit. We are seeing a slight decrease with the number of lightning strikes, which is good. We've gone from up over 800 lightning strikes, near almost 900, down to just about 300. So we'll get the ones where we can take them. The wind potential is decreased. We're no longer talking the potential of 80-mile-per-hour winds, but we are going to be looking at the potential of winds upwards of 60, 65 miles per hour. If we try and see where we have some of the latest winds, where we have some of the latest hail reports coming in, I want to go ahead and take us on over to base velocity. Again, you can see I'm not seeing very much in the way at all of rotation. I see no green and red couplets. I mean, this right here near Morganza, this is not a rotation couplet. We're looking for a bright green and a bright red. So I'm not worried about rotation right now. Some of those highest winds right now are likely going to be pushing through Mechanicsville. I actually want to take a look at our Prince George's County radar to see what this is able to give us, as it's a little bit closer to the storm. And we see some of those highest winds right now pushing through Chaptacombe, Morganza, so this will be pushing right now into Loveville and Oakville. Sandgates as well, you'll be seeing some pretty nasty winds. And that hail potential, where do we have that hail core currently located? I don't know if this radar has that capability. I don't think it does. I need to come back up here towards Sterling to get that, I think. See what that can give me. There we go. And that hail potential looks like it's definitely kind of tinged down a little bit as well. I'm seeing maybe up towards an inch size hail, getting close towards the Mechanicsville area. So locations that might be impacted by this hail core, we're talking Mechanicsville Road, Aaron Drive, Zane Court, Dean's Way, Baptist Church Road, Route 5, Harper's Corner Road, Morganza Turner Road, Laurel Grove Road, Medley's Lane, getting close towards Oakville eventually, Loveville. I have a secondary hail core right now getting ready to move here towards Ben Creek Road, getting towards 264 and Marshall Road, 265, a pretty big corridor there. Bond Street eventually, potentially Blue Chip Drive is where I could be seeing some of that hail pushing in. It's going to be those brightest radar returns. And the storm's moving at a pretty good clip, moving to the south and east here to just a little over 30 miles per hour. So locations that are going to be up next for this, let's go ahead and zoom us on out. And I actually want to get us an updated storm track here with this, knowing that I'm pushing south and east here, just about 30 miles per hour. So we're going to be talking the Lusby area here in just about 9 minutes or so. Brooms Island, this is moving right into your area. Loveville, this is moving right in over the next 5 minutes. Hollywood, I'm seeing just about 10 o'clock or so. Leonardtown, we're going to be looking at the next 15 minutes or so. So for those of you, Colton's Point Avenue, Leonardtown down there towards the Wharf and Compton, go ahead and start taking some of those severe storm precautions, because we're going to start to see some of that nasty weather push in. I do see we have a comment coming in saying that there's lightning in Lexington Park, and radar shows we are seeing some of that lightning in Hollywood, right? And lightning can strike upwards of 10 miles outside of a storm. So, I mean, anywhere from 10 miles out, actually, if I get rid of this quickly, and I were to give you, like, how far out is 10 miles from this storm as of this radar image? Let's go ahead and take it from right about here. 10 miles gets you all the way down here towards Route 4. So that's how far out we could be looking at lightning, and even behind the storm too. It isn't just out ahead. So as far back as Hughesville right now, getting towards Waldorf and La Plata, you could still be seeing some lightning, and that is what William Richmond Dink radar right now is continuing to show us as this storm pushes south and east. But we're still going to be looking at areas like Lexington Park, Park Hall, Valley Lee, St. Inigo's, St. Mary's City. We have Tall Timbers in here, Drayton, Piney Point, St. George Island, and Ridge, Scotland. This will be to you in about the next half hour to an hour. So anytime really between about 9:30 to 10 o'clock, maybe more like 9:45 for you down here towards the southern tip. Park Hall as well. You got Pax River in there along with Solomon's. You have the Ranch Club out here, Lusby, Hollywood, Leonardtown, and Clements. You have Wildwood out here as well. That's going to be giving you about the next 15 minutes or so as this continues to move itself down 235, down Route 5. And it really looks like some of the worst weather with this storm might be trying to focus itself from about the Patuxent River back into parts of St. Mary's County. So for those of you maybe on out towards Cove Point or Drum Point, those Bayside locations like that, Calvert Cliffs, Long Beach, you might not be seeing the worst of this storm. Some of the worst of this is probably going to be back out towards your west, closer towards the riverside for you. Difference probably between Long Beach and Brooms Island, it's going to be big. Brooms Island's getting an all-out downpour right now. Long Beach, you're probably seeing some pretty nasty weather at the moment, but the worst weather is going to be to your west. Kind of Route 4 there going southbound is that dividing line between some of the worst weather and some of the more manageable weather. If we were to zoom out and see it, do we have any more storms popping out there? A couple, right? We have a huge lightning storm up here moving into parts of the northern Delmarva. We have an additional round of storms trying to fire up here towards Upper Marlboro, getting ready to move towards Tracy's Landing and Dunkirk, Fairhaven, the beaches probably in the next half hour. But what we're seeing, and what I want to do actually, is see if I can't just throw our current conditions on. Current temperatures across the region. I don't know if that's going to want to load. I want to see if I can get a large font there. We're registering 84 at Pax River. We're registering 84 in DC. But north and west, notice how we have 60s, right back towards Altoona, parts of western Maryland. I mean, even a few 50s in some of the mountains. And if we really look at those dew points, I mean, dew point of 73 at Pax River. That is humid. That is a tropical feel, but a much more refreshing 55 in Hagerstown. That cold front right now sits just about sits right about there. And this puppy is going to be working its way south and east. Now, it's going to take some time for it to do so, right? But behind it, it's going to be dry and it's going to be cool. And this might take a couple hours to work through, but that initial round of severe storms, that's going to be the worst. Some residual showers are possible behind it, but it's really going to be with this initial push of moisture where we're going to be seeing some of the worst weather and some of those severe reports. So let's go ahead and reset a little bit and see what it is we have going on here. We're still tracking the storm. It's definitely kind of pulsed downwards from what we were seeing even just half an hour ago. If we were to loop this together, we can see what we were seeing, that we had this storm really producing some of those nasty winds and that hail up towards Hughesville. Still a strong storm. It's still a severe storm, but it's no longer a destructive storm. It's not that considerable destructive criteria we were looking at. Now, for those of you right under this storm, it makes no difference the specific tag it gets or if it has 80-mile-per-hour winds versus 60. But what I'm seeing from a scientific standpoint is really because the sun is setting. We're now after 9 o'clock. We're approaching 9:15 right now. We've been live together here just over half an hour. We're losing that daytime heating that severe storms need. It's really difficult for storms to maintain themselves through those nocturnal hours. That's why we don't typically see severe thunderstorms really in our region overnight. We can see heavy rain producers overnight 100%. You just need moisture with that, and a southerly wind will help with that. But for those really strong storms, those storms that give you that little bit of a punch, you need that daytime heating. We're beginning to lose that. Temperatures today maxed out in those middle 90s. We're now registering 84 at Pax River, and Pax River's yet to see some of that worst weather. We do maintain the severe thunderstorm watch for areas shaded here in pink. That is going to be going until 11 o'clock. But that's severe thunderstorm warning for southern Calvert County, for St. Mary's County. This shows us that this goes just until about 10 o'clock as this storm continues to work its way here to the south and east. And this has really kind of reduced itself to one of those garden variety storms. Those typical summertime afternoon thunderstorms that we would see with those quick downpours, that lightning, that wind, we're now down to only about 100 strikes of lightning versus the 800 to 900 we saw earlier. We do see some storms back to our south and west, moving through parts of Caroline County, Spotsylvania, getting down towards Ashland and Richmond. A little bit of a dry spot here along the Potomac River from King George to Westmoreland towards the northern neck. We'll see if that doesn't just fill in, but I mean, radar showing a little bit of an up ramp here of a downpour that has begun to develop here towards the Brandywine area. So that'll move through Waldorf and Hughesville here soon. So that storm near Upper Marlboro, that'll be following Route 4 southbound towards Dunkirk, eventually getting on Cheneyville, Sunderland, Owings, and the beaches here over the next half an hour. And if I give you that updated timing with this current severe thunderstorm that's near Sandgates, we're pushing south and east at just about 37 miles per hour. We're seeing Loveville just about now, Leonardtown in about the next 10 minutes or so. Those skies are clearly dark over by you. If it isn't dark, are darkened already by the setting of the sun. Solomon's by the bottom of the hour, getting on over towards Pax River. Lexington Park, Park Hall, St. Mary City right around 9:45 as we were stating earlier. St. Indigo's 9:47. Scotland as we approach that 10 o'clock hour. So we're going to continue to watch this. I don't see the storm ramping back up to the severe level that it had been earlier in the evening, but it's going to be something that those out ahead of the storm are going to want to be taking note of. And if we come back here to our severe storm safety, we're still looking, move indoors. Just be smart, right? At this time of the day, most people aren't outside, but stay weather aware of what's going on. Have that radar open on your phone. You can head on over to jbweather.net/radar. That gets you that latest information as things begin to move on through. Yeah. And we see we're even starting to lose some of these reds now with these radar returns. So I honestly think we might start to wrap this up a little bit. We're still tracking this one storm. It's moving through Oakville, getting ready to head into Lusby, Hollywood, Loveville, Morganza, Brooms Island. The Ranch Club is up next, Solomon's, Leonardtown, Callaway, Lexington Park. But this storm is beginning to weather down a little bit. It should still be a rainmaker as it finally gets towards southern St. Mary's County here in about half an hour to 45 minutes. But it definitely is not going to be as severe as it once was, and it probably isn't going to produce as much rain as it did at one point. Before we go, I'll try to see if I can't just get you a pre-sip with this. And you can see this puppy produce, that's a lot of rain, up near what is that, just about 2.5, 3 inches of rain near the Hughesville area as it pushed on through up over an inch where you see these colors here in blue. Mechanics are over half an inch in the blue, over an inch in the yellow. Mechanics will see just about half an inch of rain from this and still coming down, but I don't know if this is going to continue to produce 2 inches of rain, right? This might just be a quick half inch of rain for those of you in southern Calvert and southern St. Mary's. But that gets us through this one. Continue to stay weather aware. This front pushes through tonight, and then we set up for a very nice day tomorrow. Highs that only get into the lower 80s with rather dry conditions and mostly sunny skies. And as you might expect, our next storm chance does not come until the 4th of July. In the meantime, I'm Forecaster John Bordash. Thank you for joining me this evening as we've tracked all of this destructive severe weather. Severe thunderstorm warning remains up for southern Calvert and St. Mary's counties till 10, but that storm is slowly dying out. Have a nice and safe one, and keep it tuned right here to JB Weather for the latest information. I'm Forecaster John Bordash.
Check the forecast anytime online at jbweather.net.